Hello everyone, welcome to Worship Together across the Diocese. My name's Archdeacon David. It's nice to see you again. And today we're going to be thinking about some very, very special people in not just the story of the Bible, but also people who are still around today. And they're very important in the life of the world, the church. But before we go any further, do you remember sometimes when we come together we light a candle? So I'm going to do that now. This reminds us that Jesus is the light of the world, and we're going to think of some very important people today who point us towards Jesus. So there we are. We light the candle and we say, "The Lord be with you, and also with you." So I'm going to put that candle there. And today we're going to think about these very special people. These people are called prophets. Prophets. And prophets are important people because they point the way. They point the way. Not at themselves, but they point the way towards the things of God. It's very easy to think about yourself. But the lovely thing about prophets is they listen very carefully and they point to show the things of God. I wonder, have you ever met a prophet? I wonder, are there any prophets around us right now? Might you be a prophet, listening carefully to the things of God and pointing a way to the things that God does in our world? The prophets in the times of the Bible had a very, very important role. After the time of the stories, the history of the people of the Jews was written down, then came a period of the prophets, when people came along and they listened carefully to what God was saying, and then they pointed to what God was doing. When it comes to this time of the year, towards Christmas, we actually hear a lot of the prophets. And the prophets who listened carefully to the things of God and pointed to what God was doing, listened to what God was saying. And what God was saying to them was, "You will know when my special one has come, because a young woman, a virgin, will conceive and will bear a child, and he shall be called Emmanuel, God with us." And the prophets, listening carefully, pointed to the signs of God that showed us when this was happening. They told us what to look for. They told us what to expect of that special child of God. Jesus, for that was the child they were talking about, was to come as Prince of Peace. He was to come to make a difference, to turn people's lives around. And he was to come that God's promise of an anointed one, as he was called, or a Messiah, would be fulfilled. And as the prophets listened and pointed to the things of God, they reminded us of all those special things that Jesus would do and Jesus would bring. Let's just pause for a moment and think about those times when we listen to the words of God in the Bible, so that we might point towards what God is doing. So let's stop and think about listening to the word of God and pointing to what God is doing. Loving God, you teach us through the Bible, you teach us through the prophets, that as we listen to what you say, that you promise that Jesus would come, and you point to the things that he does. Even today, you remind us that there are prophets around us who listen carefully to you and point to what you are doing in our world, pointing to what Jesus called the signs of the kingdom, so that although the prophets in the times of the Bible listened and pointed to Jesus' coming, so today prophets still listen to you and point to those beautiful things that you do around us that remind us of all that Jesus does and is in our world. And as we think about the prophets, we're thankful for the people in our world who listen carefully to you and point away from themselves towards caring for others. Let's have another moment of quiet in which I wonder if you can think of people who listen to God and point away to the needs of others. Just think about the people who care for us. So as we prepare for this Christmas time, as we prepare to hear once again about the coming of Jesus, the one promised, God with us, over the next few weeks, listen carefully to what God is saying. And you might just be able to point away to the things that God is doing around us. Because who knows, you might be one of the prophets of this day. Just as the prophets in the Bible pointed towards the coming of Jesus, you might be the person that listens and points to what Jesus is doing today. It's been lovely to spend this time with you. I look forward to seeing you all one day in your schools, and I hope that the rest of the day goes really well for you. Bye for now.